Hey, what's up guys? Craig here for the Tropical Drive, and I think it's about time I gave you an update on the greenhouse and just show you what's growing on, and that includes plants that I'm going to sell through my new dedicated plant sales website, growparadise.co.uk, as well as showing you some of the more special plants that I'm growing for my own collection, either to stay in the greenhouse or to go out into a tropical style garden in the warm summer months. So we'll start by taking a look at some of the plants that I'm propagating to sell, and just look at this sea of Echiums. This is the regular Echium pininana, which is that huge tower of blue, purple flowers that you see sort of from early summer all the way through. They just flower like mad. But I've also grown from seed some of these Echium wildpretii. Now, I did have a limited number of these for sale before Christmas, and they sold so fast that I grew some more on my heated propagator. These are amazing. They've got these glaucous blue leaves, and they put up an intense red flower spike. It's not quite as tall as those of Echium pininana, but the colour on these is unmatched. So these are something special, and they're a bit rarer to find than the regular Echiums. I've also got an absolute mass of Persicaria Red Dragon. This makes a really good herbaceous perennial border plant in a tropical style garden. They fill out the gaps, and the purple foliage with this silver chevron just contrasts really well against the green foliage of so many other plants for a tropical style garden. And these are grown in these plugs. I'm going to sell them as these plug plants, but as they get bigger the price is going to go up. And you can see the roots on these, they are just ready to be potted up and planted out. And these are hardy. They'll die back in winter and then grow with fresh, new, deep purple foliage every spring. And they're invaluable for a tropical style garden. I love Persicaria. As well as that, I'm growing on these 2 trays of canna. These cannas are shorter cannas, part of the CannaSol series, and I've got 2 colours here, the orange flowering and the red flowering one, and they've been selected because they're short, sturdy plants that just flower and flower and flower all summer long. And again, these are in the same plug size. I'm going to call it a jumbo plug, and you can see as the weather started to warm, each plug has multiple growing points as well as last year's foliage, which I'm happy to report is healthy and streak free. I'm going to grow a lot of these in my garden. They're great for pots and the front of kind of deep tropical borders. These are listed on the website. I'm doing them in a deal at the moment of a pack of 3, and you'll get a discount compared to if you pay the price for just 1. And down here underneath the bench, I've got all of these Euphorbia mellifera seedlings. Now, I think euphorbias are one of my favourite shrubs, and I had one called John Phillips, a cultivar called John Phillips growing in my garden, and it was amazing. And this one doesn't grow quite as big as John Phillips, but it has that same foliage and the same flowers. And I honestly think Euphorbia mellifera is one of the best shrubs that you can get in a tropical style garden. And by buying them at this size, you can save yourselves a lot of money because these are fast growing plants. Once they're in and they're happy, they'll put out loads of side shoots and really fill out, and they make a really nice rounded evergreen shrub that will give you that winter interest as well as that summer tropical style. And over here, obviously not quite ready yet, are my Geranium maderense seedlings. Now I'm growing these in this plastic free coir sort of pellets. They expand when I put water in, and they're just a great way to start seeds without having to use plastic seed cells. And as soon as I'm ready to pot these up, I'll pot them on into coir pots because I'm trying to cut out plastic as much as possible. I'm happy to use this hard, tough plastic because I will reuse this for years and years and years. But for single-use plastics, I'm just not going to use it anymore. This has done the trick brilliantly. You can see how successful the germination has been. I've got 2 types of Geranium maderense. I've got this one, which is the rarer white flowering form, which is difficult to come by, and then the pink flowering form over here, which again is difficult to come by, but easier than the white one. And these make amazing plants. I had one flower in my garden a couple of years ago, and it's insane. You've not seen anything like it. And the foliage is really jungly as well. These are just the basic seed leaves. In a couple of weeks you'll see the true leaves emerging, and they are just really nice dissected, jungly cut leaves. You'll see what I mean. I'll keep you updated. And then over here are some very young Melanosolenum decipens, or the tree cow parsley. It's a bizarre name, but this plant has similar foliage to Geranium maderense, and it gets covered in an umbel of white flowers that the insects absolutely love. You know that nice wafty cow parsley that you see on kind of path sides and in fields during the height of summer? Well, this plant is that on steroids. If you could imagine a jungle version of that, then this is it. It's an amazing plant, and I've managed to germinate a few seeds here, so I'll be potting them on soon and be listing them on the website. So that's all of the plants that are up for sale. But let's take a look at some of the special plants that I've treated myself to recently that are just for me. Like these air plants, which I bought from Andy's Air Plants, and they are absolutely amazing. They have roots, but they don't need to be potted up, and you can see this one is Tillandsia punctulata. It is an amazing plant that I just need to mist every couple of days with rainwater, and it will keep growing bigger and eventually produce offsets and flowers. I bought a few plants off of Andy, and I can highly recommend them because the quality was absolutely amazing. I have this one. As you can tell, I can't remember the names of them yet. They're all Tillandsia. This one is stricta. Much smaller, but similar. It will produce one big flower spike like most bromeliads, and then produce offsets, which I can divide and grow as new plants, and hopefully, in the future, list on the website for sale so that some of you can get your hands on them as well. And this monster, which is still surrounded by wet tissue, because this one can be mounted or grown like most air plants with its roots in the air, but Andy tells me that it performs better when it's potted. So I've got a coir pot down there and some orchid bark, and I'll be potting it up soon. But this is Tillandsia Samantha, and it is a beast, and the picture on Andy's website showed it with this huge orange flower spike. And again, when it flowers, it will produce offsets, so I can divide that and propagate and hopefully share it with all of you. I just love air plants. They're really varied. These three are Tillandsia, and so is this Spanish moss. I've been growing this one for a year or two. I got it off a friend of mine who grows plants nearby. He's called Elemental Avatar on eBay. I'll put a link in the video description. You can have a look at his listings. He grows a lot of very nice plants, and he's been growing these air plants, Spanish moss, and a few different types of them for years, so he knows his stuff. Now in the background, you might have clocked this philodendron. Everybody's going mad for aroids at the moment, especially variegated aroids like that Thai constellation Monstera. But this is Philodendron Birkin. When I bought this one, it was labelled as a white measure, and I can't see a lot of difference between what's being sold as Birkin and white measure. But it was going cheap at the garden centre, less than £10, so I thought I'd buy it and have a go. And as you can see, I'm already managing to make the first new leaf go brown. I think it's a bit too cold for it in the greenhouse, so we'll see how this goes, but it's a great foliage plant, and I'm hoping in the summer months I can move it out into my tropical styled garden in a nice shady warm spot, and it will just add really interesting tropical leaf texture. And those of you who are quite keen-eyed will have noticed this monster of a propagator in the background as I've been looking around. I treated myself. This is new. This is my new Vito pod, and in the coming weeks I'm going to do a full review video on this, but I can say that initially I'm really impressed. I've got it set up with 2 grow lights, a heated base which is thermostatically controlled, but I don't want to do a review until I've got my hands on it and really got to know what works, what doesn't work, and I can give you an honest review. But this is going to really help me with propagation and overwintering those tender tropical plants. So there you go. It's just a quick look around the greenhouse at the moment. I'm trying not to show you all of the plants that I've got that you've all seen already. I've got the monstera, I've got papaya, I've got farfugiums, all the things that you've seen in the previous videos. And if you're watching this video for the first time and you're new to the channel, then hit subscribe and check out the old content, because there is loads of stuff about plants. As I said, I'm going to review, where is it, this monster in the coming weeks. I'm also going to give you updates about how I'm finding growing in these plastic-free coir pots, and I'll be showing you some of the seedlings that I've got coming on and some of the seeds that I'm sowing. I've got a lot of interesting, unusual and tropical plants that I'm hoping to propagate, grow on plastic-free and be able to sell to you on the Grow Paradise website. Now, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed these videos, subscribe to the Tropical Tribe. Go check out all of the old content and comment below. Let's have a discussion. We all love talking about plants. I'll listen to you and I'll answer back, and just tell me if you've got any tips or if you're growing anything that you've seen in this video. Thank you so much. See you next time.